Hi, this is Carey Brown with Real Estate 101. I'm so used to doing this on the radio. I started to say the radio station. So we are going to be talking about VA loans. Um, I should say I'm with eXp Realty, so I don't get in trouble real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am back with Kim Penrod of Fairway Mortgage.
Yes.
And, why not just mess up this right from the start, right? Um, Okay. So VA loans, we're going to take it from buyer's perspective, and then we're going to take it from seller's perspective.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a VA loan, there are many different types of services. Army, Marines, there's different types of disability, whether or not you went out with a full disability or not. How does that affect their loan?
So when I have a VA borrower, the first thing I do is I go online to the VA website and pull a certificate of eligibility. That certificate tells me if that person is eligible for a VA loan, and it will also tell me if they are exempt from paying a funding fee or if they're non-exempt. On that certificate, it will also show if they receive any benefits from the VA for disability, and it will tell me exactly how much they receive. So let's say I go to the VA website though, and I'm not able to pull that certificate, then I get a copy of the buyer's or the veterans DD form 214. When I get a copy of that, then I send that into the VA and then I get the certificate back. We have to just fill out an application to apply for their certificate. It can take some time. Like I've gotten it back in as quickly as 2 days. And then during COVID, it was a lot longer because not everybody was working. So it could take a couple weeks. But I know that at application time, when I get that application from that buyer, I'm going to know if I'm able to get the certificate or not. I don't wait on that because that's something easy to get, and we don't want to be, what if we get 3 weeks into the process and then we find out, well, they don't qualify for a VA loan? Then we're kind of behind then at that point, and we don't want to do that. So as soon as I have that certificate, then we're ready.
What would cause them to not qualify?
It would mostly have to do with their service.
So dishonorable discharge maybe, or
it could be that dishonorable discharge, not enough time served. Reserve is different than regular. So their requirements are they have to have more time in than if they did regular military to be eligible for a VA loan. Those are some things that can affect. If they are questioning as a veteran, if you don't have any idea if you qualify, I would call the VA, the Department of Veteran Affairs, and someone there will definitely be able to look it up and tell them if they qualify. But probably 9 times out of 10, they know that already because they have that paper in hand, that DD form 214.
What are the perks of having a VA loan?
Oh my gosh, VA is the best because it's zero down. As a veteran, you served, you sacrificed, you gave a lot to our country. So you are not required to put anything down, and you do not have to pay mortgage insurance, those are 2 huge benefits. With zero down, normally you have to pay mortgage insurance each month. So you're going to save right off the top on $100,000 loan. You're going to save, $80 to $100 right off the top just by not putting anything down. And then the only thing you do have to pay is that funding fee, but it's financed. So you don't have to pay it out of pocket. So again, on a $100,000 loan, the funding fee is 2.3%, which would be $2,300. We just add that to your loan, and then it's stretched out over 30 years. You don't have to pay it again. So you can get into a house with nothing out of pocket. If you find a house you love and you make a good offer and you ask that seller to pay closing costs, if it's a good offer, they'll accept it and they'll pay closing costs, and then you wouldn't have to pay anything. You wouldn't have to pay down payment. You wouldn't have to pay closing costs. You wouldn't have to pay prepaids. So literally it's zero out of your pocket. Now there's two things you have to pay up front, but you can usually get those back at closing. You have to pay earnest money. And Karey is more the expert on that, but it could be 500, 1,000, 2,000. And that earnest money is just money you're putting down when you write the contract that says to the seller, yes, I'm going to follow through on this contract. If I don't, there's a chance I could lose this money. And then you have to pay your appraisal fee up front, and that's $500. And again, if the seller agrees to pay your closing costs, that appraisal fee can be part of that. Now we have to collect it up front because the appraiser won't go out and do the appraisal until he's been paid. But at closing, we can refund the credit card back the $500, and that earnest money can also be refunded to you if the seller has paid all your fees. So again, nothing.
So to make that clear, you're technically getting money back at closing. So
correct.
It's just all one big wash.
You're getting that earnest money that you already put in back. So if you wrote a check for $1,000 and the seller paid all your costs, then you can get that $1,000 back at closing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Great.
Your VA buyer, what are you going to need from them to get their loan done? So paperwork.
So let's say we're pre-approved. We've already taken an application. They have to have a 600 credit score. VA is another one that we can go all the way down to 600. I've got, let's say I already have their certificate of eligibility. I will still get a copy of their DD 214 after they're under contract, just to have it for the file in case we needed it. And then I would need 30 days pay stubs, 2000, well, I always say 2019 and 20, but we're almost to 2022. So we'll just say the last 2 years, taxes and any schedules, last 2 years, W-2s, 1099s, and a full, on this one, we normally need 60 days bank statements, but sometimes on veterans we'll need 90. Because if they do receive benefits from the VA, we have to see that go into their account so many months. So a lot of times I just say 90 days to be safe on veterans. And that's really it for a VA buyer.
Okay. And VA stipulations are very similar to FHA stipulations.
Exactly.
Stipulations as far as a house is concerned. So no peeling paint. Have to have handrails, GFCI outlets.
Yeah.
So GFCI outlets have to be anywhere there's water.
Correct. Yeah. VA, again, it's government. They do not want that veteran moving into a home that is not safe and cannot be lived in. So they're going to require that there's no peeling paint, handrails on any steps, the GFCI outlets around any water source. And again, and these are things I see the most. That's why I'm calling these things out. And the foundation has to be in good shape. Now, if there's, we just had all that wind, and say there's just been a windstorm and people around the town are losing shingles. If the appraiser sees missing shingles on a roof, they're going to call that out. So, but for the most part, it has to be anything that would affect the livability for a safe and healthy home.
We didn't do this on the FHA, I cannot even talk today, video, but whenever it comes to inspections, the appraiser is looking for those types of things. Right. A whole house inspection is going to drill in and it's going to find additional things. So just because those particular things pass, so you don't have peeling paint or things like that, but say you have a radon level of 32, obviously those things would need to be fixed.
Most definitely.
So it's all a part of negotiations, but that's going to be a part of a negotiation regardless. Now, that's in a normal market. Right now, our markets aren't normal. I mean, unfortunately, buyers are being told, oh, well, the only way you're going to get the house is if you don't do inspections.
Right.
And, that's great. That's easy for a seller. It's easy for everybody, but is it smart?
And it's scary because if you have somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, we have veterans that maybe they don't have a lot of money in the bank, buying a house without inspections. And if they get in that house and then something goes bad, that's scary for any buyer. And no one wants to be in that situation. But you're right. Home inspections and appraisals are way different. A lot of times people get them confused because they think, well, an appraiser's going to look at the house. They'll just tell me what's wrong with it. Well, they won't. An
No.
appraiser's not looking at radon. An appraiser's not looking at the plumbing. An appraiser's not looking at the electrical. Home inspectors are 100 times more thorough because they're in there for hours and they're actually looking at things, and they're flushing toilets and turning on water and checking, breakers and all that kind of stuff. They're doing all the things that they should be doing. An appraiser's just going in, making sure the home is safe and habitable and carries the value that we need. We
Right.
haven't really talked about value yet. An appraiser's going in there, making sure that that home, if the price is 100,000, they're making sure it's worth 100,000. So yes, home inspections are awesome and definitely a good idea.
Yeah, in our market, the appraisers aren't even getting on the roofs very much anymore. They're
No.
looking at it with binoculars.
They're standing on the ground looking up. That's right.
And so what we found is we go through an appraisal and the roof is not getting dinged by the appraiser.
Right.
But in the whole house inspection, it could be a total loss,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's ending up being an insurance claim because we've had hail and it just never got replaced. So now all of a sudden that's coming into play too. So think of as an appraisal as a skim and
Right.
a whole house inspection as a deep dive.
I agree.
So there's a lot of moving pieces in it. And yes, obviously it's going to be great for a seller to not have to go through inspections. And depending on your market, that could be year round. In our market, it's not typical, but for the
Right.
last 2 years, it has been. And I think it's just people, there's such a low inventory, and it's really across the country that,
Right.
the path of least resistance is obviously going to be the way the seller goes. So
There's
if you
so
are,
much competition.
yeah,
Yes.
if you're a buyer, you really have to look at, okay, financially, am I going to be secure enough? Do I have the knowledge to fix the things that might come up? There are unseen things like a sewer line. And,
Yeah.
in our area, we still have Orangeburg, we still have cast iron.
Mhm.
Those are the things that by now are very few are not passing,
Right.
or are passing.
Are passing, right?
Yeah, are
Right.
passing. They are mostly not passing.
There are,
Uh,
exactly. We got a lot of sewer lines getting repaired and replaced.
Yeah, and people mistake that a new construction house would pass just fine, but if it wasn't tamped down properly, now all of a sudden you've got bellies or you've got cracks or
Yes.
things like that. And if it's a brand new house, now you're getting a new sewer because it's not going to
Yeah.
pass.
On a
So
brand new house. Yeah, that's not good.
yeah. So, and even new construction has things that doesn't pass.
Mhm.
So, or don't pass. So, a home inspection is really, really important. It's just a part of negotiation to say, listen, I have this much saved up. I could accept this much in repairs.
Right.
Go into it with your best foot forward.
Yeah.
But if at all possible, at least get it to where you can do an inspection and you could walk away if you can't have an agreement.
Exactly. You might have to negotiate that where, look, I'm doing it for my own knowledge, but you're right. That would be something you would help them with negotiating that part so the seller would know. The one inspection we do require, Karey, I didn't even think about till just now, is a termite inspection. All veterans have to have a termite inspection. So we have had contracts here lately where the seller says, no, I'm not paying for a termite inspection. Well, we as a lender, we can't allow a buyer to pay for it. So a lot of times we've been paying them ourselves as a lender, paying
Yeah.
for that termite inspection. So, because they have to be done, it's part of the loan.
Right. Which, I mean, who wouldn't want to know if you have termites?
Right.
I mean, that's just logical.
Uh,
But I
Especially in
understand.
this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, in most markets, buyers are actually the ones that pay for that. Our
Yeah.
particular market, they don't. The sellers do.
We're
So-
used to that. You're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on 4 different MLSs, and really, for the most part, Topeka's the only one where the seller pays for any
That
inspection.
pays for it. Wow.
Yeah. So we're lucky here.
Yeah,
that
we
that's the
are.
case.
We are
But,
lucky.
yeah. So really, if it's a VA loan, obviously for a seller, if your house is in good condition, you don't have peeling
Mhm.
paint,
Mhm.
you've looked at all the major mechanical type things, that you have GFCI outlets, there really is no reason to deny a veteran a home.
Right.
Obviously they can mark the price up if the amount is something that they're qualified for. So there could
Right.
be some buffer in there.
Most
So,
definitely.
you know, it's another one of those loans. Don't count them out just because they're a VA loan. I know
Just
that
because
cash
they're a
is-
veteran.
yeah,
Yeah.
cash is easy, but you know what? These guys fought for their country.
But, and not everybody has that cash. That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's VA loan for you. If you have any questions, Kim, I didn't even ask you on the FHA one. Do you
Yeah.
want to give out your phone number and your email?
Oh, yeah. My cell phone number is 785-640-1700. And I'm just like Karey. I work day, night, weekend, all the time. So you can call, text anytime. And just if you text me, you might tell me your name because I won't know who you are. And then and then I'll respond back. And if it is on the weekend and you know you found this house and you're like, oh, we didn't know we were gonna love it, and you want to get pre-approved, just call me. And like I said, I work whenever Karey does.
We work a lot.
Yes.
And if you're looking to buy, sell, invest, any of that, our number is 785-213-5188. Thanks for joining us on Real Estate 101.